Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Power to Prosper. I am your host, Natasha Oquendo. I just want you to go ahead and just let somebody know that Power to Prosper is on and there is something to share on today. I am thankful. If this is your first time listening, then hey, I welcome you to listen in and I welcome you to come back and listen in some more and even download it and stream it on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, all of the streams, right? For your podcast listening. Listen, I want to share something today that I know the Lord had given me. I want to say something like 5 years ago, maybe more, maybe a little longer. But I do know over the process of time, this word has come and I have shared it. I touched on it a little bit within my book, Invitation to Queendom. For those of you who don't have the book, go ahead and get it. You can order it off of Amazon and all places where you can order online. Listen, so the Lord had given me this word that we were in the time of the woman. And so I kind of want to share that on today. So if you know of any woman out there, and I mean any woman, whether saved, woman of faith or not, this may be one for the books. They want to hear this. So when the Lord had given me this, that we were in the time of the woman, there were a lot of things that came about into manifestation to confirm the word. And so, with that being said, some of us may be saying, what does that really mean that we are in the time of the woman? And I expressed how many women now are doing more and succeeding in doing more now more than ever. You see more women rising up in ministry. You see more women rising up in business and entrepreneurship and even breaking into the pay brackets of millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires, even. You see more women who are moving forward and breaking into demographics that in past time was very, very hard. Of course, throughout the different centuries of time, we've had trailblazers to break in, but now more women are entering into these demographics now more than ever. Um, and with that being said, when the Lord was giving me that we were in the time of the woman, he showed me that it would be confirmed that even with women who had been uh, mishandled, sexual misconduct, abuse, and different things, that those times were coming where there would be recompense for it. Meaning, when I say recompense, the consequences, those who have caused these things, we would see the consequences of these things come about. And so that's why we have been seeing more um, men in Hollywood, in the music industry, acting, and all of that have been brought to account for different things that have been done to women. Misconduct, as in sexual misconduct. Many times women have had to uh, do very illicit things and very, I want to say, humiliating things to even make it and break it into these places, right? And so it was confirmation when I saw the different demographic of people who were being arrested in Hollywood, and they were going back, the statute of limitations were going back 20 some odd years to bring account to these things. And so God had spoken this thing to me, and I began to see the manifestations on a world scale begin to happen. Not only that, we saw Camilla Harris enter into the vice presidency, as to where we had never seen a woman enter into the vice presidency. I remember we even had Hillary Clinton running for president as a woman, and so as we were seeing these different things, it was just symbolism of the woman taking her rightful position. And so that is what it means that we're in the time of the woman where God is raising up women, just like the scripture said, the last shall be first. And we know that the women have been treated last, and now they're coming to the forefront. And we're seeing some friction with this now because anytime God speaks a word, there's a resurrection, meaning there's a rightful way that God is raising people up and bringing things into account. But you always have insurrection, right? And I tend to believe that's the wrong way of going about a thing. God may be doing a thing, but you have others who may be going about it in a crooked way or going about it in a way that is unseemly or not the plan of God. And so, with that being said, we're in the time of the woman. And so, women are being raised up to take their rightful position. They're coming, many are, I will say this, are coming out of and have the ability to come out of being viewed as just sexual property, being viewed of low value, right? The time of the woman means that a woman is coming to know her value and coming to understand that she has a legitimate position in this realm, in this earth realm, in the land. And so watching the vice presidency take place with Vice President Kamala Harris was confirmation, even more confirmation to what God was showing. And that word is still moving. It is still moving. We're still in that time. Why? Because it reminds me of just like Esther, for such a time as this, she was being raised up to take her position, her queenly position. That was some of the reason I called the book Invitation to Queendom. And it talks a lot about the woman taking her rightful place, and it talks about what that entails in that position, right? And so even now, I kind of want to give you uh some of the consequences that I see taking place, meaning this is not the time for men to still be belittling women, uh, disrespecting women, um, slighting women, or even speaking ill of women, like speaking of them in the music, right? From the worldly standpoint, most of the things that we see is almost like this judgment or consequences taking place among the males. If you look at it really, really deeply, we see a lot of deaths in the music industry. And it's not just, I want to say, just from speaking music on the level of murdering and killing and stuff like that. But a lot of that entails belittling women, humiliating women. We're even seeing women. I saw something and it really blew my mind where I saw women, a guy, I guess I saw this clip on YouTube and it was meant for me to see it because it was confirming what God had been giving me. But the women were literally on all fours with dog leashes and dog collars on, and the guy was walking them like dogs. They were on their hands and knees. And it's almost like these things are being called to account, right? They're being called to account. Um, some women are getting it, and some women are still, using what they got to get what they want. But I'm saying that to say that in this time, that is not necessary. I believe that God is paving a way and raising up women. God is doing it. God is doing it. And with that being said, now, as we're in the time of the woman, there are some men that get it. They get it. And I'm watching some of those men actually be blessed because they understand that the grace of God may be on their wife or on their significant other, and they're seeing it and they're getting on board with it. And it's like their name is being made known in the gates, like it says in Proverbs 31. They're getting or reaping the manifestation or reaping the blessings accordingly. And I'm just using example. It's a powerful thing because the woman is designed to be an enemy to the enemy, meaning that happened in the garden. Being that the enemy deceived the woman, God put enmity between the enemy and the woman. And he said that uh, what the woman gave birth to. Her offspring would bruise the head of the enemy, would crush the head of the enemy, and the enemy would bruise his heel. And so, and I believe that's maybe Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. You want to go and read that for yourself. But I'm saying that to say, anytime God got ready to raise women up, and I'm going to use that example from the book of Esther, one of the first things that happened, if you pay attention to it, is when God began to raise Esther up and she began to win favor and start taking her position, the king's enemy was exposed, which was Haman. He was exposed, right? And so the different deceptions were exposed, the things that were in place that should not have been in place, the things that were in position that should not have been in position, that was going to what? Fight against or overthrow the king, which was that man, that man's position. And so I'm saying that to say the man's name will be known in the gates. If he gets in with that and treats that woman right, then many husbands will be raised up to their rightful place, or raised, or doors open for them at a level that may not have been able to be open for them per se. And even in collaborations, we're going to see these things happen where men are going to be able to take their place. When Esther found her position and got in her position, her cousin, her cousin Mordecai was able to be raised up to his rightful position. He was able, his name was made known in the gates, and he was able to be raised up as well and take his rightful place. And so I'm just giving that part. But we're also, like I said, when there's a resurrection, meaning a pure move of God that is taking place, you're always going to have an insurrection that is going to distort that move. So with that being said, not only are we going to be seeing women raised up and taking their rightful place, but we're also going to see women do things uh, that may have been done to them in the past. You're hearing more about women cheating and initiating cheating. You're seeing it. We're seeing it even more on TV. You know, how we talking about love and different couples that are coming to the forefront and being made known. This is what black love looks like, or this is what marriage looks like, or this is what, you know, relationships, healthy relationships look like. And we see a lot more being talked about it. But also we're seeing a lot more women take the stance of going left. Going left, meaning going in a direction that that you heard a lot of men going in, as far as cheating, as far as infidelity, as far as having multiple men and things of that nature. And so I'm saying that to say, we're going to see quite a bit of things where women, the highlight is on women now. If you look on social media, if you look on TV, if you look on uh, different movies and different things of that nature, a highlight is being put on women, and God has legitimately highlighted women. But we got to understand, it is to come to our rightful position and know our worth. So you got women that are coming to the mindset of, okay, it's more to me than being somebody's sexual property. It's more to me than being just something like some slave girl that somebody can just use and benefit from, but not acknowledge, right? And so now you got more women receiving acknowledgement, right? Receiving acknowledgement for the work that they've put in, for the things that they've accomplished, the things that they have done. We're seeing more women get more education, doctrines, and different things of that sort. We see more women coming to the forefront and being acknowledged for the contributions that they're bringing to the world. We're seeing more of it, which is a good thing, which is a good thing. And so as we're moving in this dispensation of time, because I'm not for sure exactly how long this is going to last, but I will say The time is now. The time is now for women to awaken to their true identity, to awaken to the level of grace and distinguishing that is about you, right? To hear yourself and see yourself in a greater light because God have called you to a greater place. And there are some women that are understanding it and running in it. There are some women that need to be awakened to it. So hopefully when you hear this, you will begin that your mindset will begin to shift as a woman in this hour and know that we are in your time. Your time is now. Your time is now. Entrepreneurship, your time is now for that. For business, for greater levels in your career, right? For greater levels, even as a mother, that's not being belittled anymore. You're being looked at the value that you bring to the table as a mother, right? And kids are beginning to rise up and call you blessed, right? And I'm saying husbands are beginning to look at wives and call them blessed. They're beginning to see the blessing and the contribution that women bring to the table. And I say that because when you look at it, at the same time, the blessing is there, the favor of God is there for the woman, but there's also the enemy moving at the same time, trying to keep women in the dark about their true identity, um, trying to cause women to view themselves as less than, right? Trying to get women to stay stuck in an old mentality of having to do whatever and do it 10 times better just to be acknowledged or just to be seen or just to be heard. And so a lot of women are coming out of fear. They're coming out of fear, fear to succeed, fear to have standards, right? Coming out of the fears of those things. And I see the enemy moving. Even with what they're saying about single women within the church. There's these women, they're accomplishing things or whatever in the church, but they don't have a man. They don't have a man. And being viewed as less than because they don't have a man. Or being viewed as something is wrong with them because they don't have a man. Okay, nothing wrong with having a man, but God wants you to know your value in this hour without a man before you get a man. Because if you go into these different situations, a lot of times when your mindset is not right, you tend to draw. The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So the way you think about yourself, if it's lower than the standard that God has placed on you or the value that God has placed on you, then normally what you do is draw something below your value. You draw somebody else that doesn't recognize or know your value. Or if they do recognize it, they're going to use you for it. They use it for their benefit and not benefit you with giving you the love that God have sanctioned the man to give you. Right? And so I'm just sharing this because I want to awaken some sister out there, some woman out there to know your value and know your worth and know that God have called you to be the apple of his eye, that his eyes is on you in this hour, that he is mindful of you in this hour, that women are important in this hour. I remember someone was reading my book and they began to testify to me, a woman. And she was a woman, an older woman. And I talked about how God was empowering women. And she said to me, she said, I did not even know that God cared. And literally almost broke down crying. And I'm like, God really does care about us. Right? And God is raising us up even now. He's defending us in this hour. A lot of women, a lot of you may not even have to defend yourself, especially women of faith, with what God is calling you to do, and just moving in that, moving in the favor of God, moving in the grace of God, and staying focused on the assignment, because God is going to defend you, especially if you're in the assignment or in the will and positioning yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and he's positioning you in the land properly, financially, all of that, all of that. And you're not going to have to defend your position within ministry, your position within business, your position, you know what I mean, within your home, within your marriage, within your life. You're not going to have to defend that. You're going to have to stay focused and accomplish what it is that God have enabled us to do in this hour. He have enabled us to complete. He have enabled us to succeed, right? And so I'm excited about it, and hopefully, and listen, like I say, to everything, there's always an insurrection. Of course, you see it even within the demographic of the church and ministry, with the titles. That thing is going crazy with the titles and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is this, not to diminish anybody's title, not to try to tell you you're not called to be certain things. But this is the thing. When you get in the position inside, meaning knowing your value, knowing the standard of the Lord that he called you to as a woman, and carrying yourself at that place, walking in it with the boldness and confidence of the Lord, with the quiet confidence that he gives you, and walking in these things. When you get to that place, then what happens is it's the favor of God that identifies you. It's the favor of God, the grace of God, him gracing you to be able to succeed in, even if it's just being a mother, even if it's just being a wife. Those are legitimate positions, and those are important. Don't let anybody diminish that or take that from you, right? The entrepreneur side, the business side, having that innovative creativeness about you and being able to exercise it and navigate in it and complete things and get things done. Even in your career, being able to do what you're doing in your career in excellence and being able to succeed in it. In education, whatever arena, politics. We're going to see more women entering into politics, right? We're going to see them acknowledge and see manifestations of, okay, things are really happening with these women. They are really accomplishing things, and it is to help the whole. It is to help the whole, right? And so, with that being said, you're always going to have, here's the fine line, or here's the balance. You're always going to have something happening where people go too far off. And we see it where people are going too far off. But know that God have extended his grace, because for the ones that he's chosen to do what he's chosen us to do, and we're actually doing it, and we're feeling our way, and we're learning it, because it's all new. It's all fresh, right? Because sometimes you know how that is. The mentality could have brought insecurity, and we're not used to being acknowledged or used to actually having that freedom or that liberty to move in it. But you know how that is. A lot of liberty sometimes causes us to sin. But hopefully, most of us can get it right and get on track. But for those of us who know and sense this, and this is your word, then I encourage you. I encourage you to move forward as best you can. Because one thing about it, even in the mistakes, God looks at the condition of the heart. Is the heart pure? Or is the heart full of craftiness? Right? And so when we know that we're purely trying to move in something, or we sense something, like it's more for me to do, it's more for me to accomplish. And this is beyond envy, or envy caused by seeing what my neighbor is doing or seeing what the next person is doing. but more so feeling a pulling within myself, okay, that I want to help whatever this movement is that God is doing, that I want to be a part of it. I want to set the stage for my children, for my family, for my loved ones. I want to open up a realm to succeed or to move greater in a greater way than we ever have before. I send the fire to you women to just be on fire, right? To enjoy this time, to celebrate the small wins within this time, because it is definitely the time of the woman, and we have to move forward in where God have designed us to be and positioned us to be. And I celebrate every woman that would hear this message. Listen, when you get this message, play it back as many times, download it, stream it. You can look at it on YouTube, however you decide. But I want you to get it in you, because this is our time to move forward. This has been Natasha Oquendo. I thank you for joining me. This is Power to Prosper. Until next episode, be blessed. Love you.